morning. It's Right Time Radio, Wednesday at 9 o'clock, and my co-host, Sue. Hey, Sue.
Good morning.
Good morning. Sue's going to be gone after this week. How many? You're just going to miss one show, right?
I think I'm just going to miss one show. It depends on what happens when I get there.
Okay, so she's going home to a wedding and check on her brother.
I'm officiating. I am marrying my grandson and his fiance.
That's almost like holding a shotgun to him, isn't it?
Yeah, just making sure this happens here.
Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think her car's all packed up. She's ready to go as soon as the show's over.
Well, it has. I was going to leave right after the show this morning, and then my car, whose name is Kylie, didn't feel like making the trip yet, so she has an appointment here in town this afternoon, and then I'm going to leave early tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, good.
But I am all packed up, yes.
We wish you good travels and Godspeed and all that jazz.
Thank you.
Let us know when you get there, okay?
Yes.
Hey, wait a minute, I got something to do. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious.
You know, she
There we
has a sticker on the back of her car that says, "I'm not speeding, I'm qualifying."
Yeah, that'll get you stopped.
My car has hit more than 88 a couple of times. On the actual road, I've done 120.
Oh my!
On the track, I've done 162.
But she's changed her ways, so police people. Please
Yes,
don't
and I
follow
want
her
you all
around
to
town.
believe that. Yes, because I'm going to be driving across Nebraska.
Responsibly.
Yes,
I do drive responsibly. I just drive
Not
fast.
responsibly fast. Responsibly.
I'm driving across Nebraska.
Well, you have to understand that a lot of these agencies are still looking for an excuse to stop anybody coming from the state of Colorado because we have
that's
legalized marijuana.
True.
So if you give them
That
a
is
reason,
true.
they will stop you. I can say that because I would have done it.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, you know, I
Back in the day.
asked. We were in a diner. A friend of mine. We were in a diner in Des Moines, and there were several police officers sitting directly across from us. And my girlfriend and I had debated about someone wanted me to bring just some lotion,
Sure.
you know, but I wasn't sure about the legality. And so my girlfriend says, "So did you bring that stuff back from Colorado or not?" And forehead swiveled over.
No kidding.
I would have said, yeah, I have a truckload just over here.
There's my car, officer. You can check it.
She's talking about the wine from the Abbey. I swear.
That's
Yeah,
it. The
there we
wine
go.
from the Abbey. Yes. Yes.
I don't know if that's called bootlegging anymore. I don't think.
I don't.
Hopefully, I think so. No, because wine's legal. So
But yeah.
We can-
and
Well,
I
beer was legal back in the day, but you couldn't bootleg it past. Well, some beers
Certain.
past Texas. So was bootlegging legal back in the day when it was legal. So I don't
and
think
he
it
knows
was a
that
problem. But
because
I watched Smoking the Bandit.
There you
yes,
go.
Okay,
There you go.
Well, and I just wasn't sure of the legality of anything that could go back or that could
No, I
cross
don't
state
either. That's
lines.
why I
And
don't
It's-
participate.
California's about the only weird one because they have like fruit
Yeah.
stops for fruit.
oh yeah,
Right.
that's
I've got
right.
two in the back seat. You want them?
I've got 2 apples here.
They're called my son.
Yeah, they call my kids. There.
those fruits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hawaii's the same way. They got all this luscious pineapple, and you can't bring any of it home unless you buy it at the airport. So I know. And the stuff at the airport came from the same fields that I was carrying. But I
They
guess somehow
debugged
knew.
it or something at the
Yeah.
airport, maybe.
Well, in case you can't tell, we actually don't have a guest in the studio today because we are kind of our own guest today.
We are.
Sue and I both write, and we kind of like some of the stuff we write. So we thought today would be a day that we would share what we have written. And we've got 5 minutes before our first break. So, I'm thinking maybe we ought to go ahead and share your story. And it's a children's story, but I'll let you talk about that.
5 minutes, okay. Well, I'm trying to write a children's book. I live with a 4-year-old, my 4-year-old grandson, and there's all kinds of cool things that happen. And I keep saying that I'm going to write a story about the things he says. Like I walked up on him when he was very engrossed in his play the other day. And he didn't hear me come up. And I said, "Honey," and he jumped 10 feet in the air. And he said, "Grandma, you scared the talking right out of me."
I love that.
I think I've heard that particular term used.
Well, and
that's
you
what's
know,
so fun about him.
he's just, I should write this stuff down.
He's going to be a radio host. Watch.
That would be
Yeah.
nice.
Uh-huh.
I would like that.
With
go.
Gab.
So yeah, there's always children's ideas.
Yeah,
In my
absolutely.
house here, I'll look at him and think of things, or they'll do something as a family. Did you want me to read this before the break, or just lead into
I did,
it?
but you're
Now I've
talking
let it-
so
It's too
long
late
that you're
now. You're
probably
It's
not
too
gonna
late
get a
now. We're gonna
chance.
take the break.
just
But
take a break
anyway,
and go from there.
things happen in my house that make me think of stories.
Oh, yeah.
Last year, I wrote a Christmas song parody based
About
on
their trip?
based on
I
their
remember
trip.
that.
We
yeah.
did that on the show.
Yeah, we did that on the show, and that was based on the family's trip back to Grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get back from the break, I'll share this little children's book I'm trying to write here.
And it's about a pumpkin patch.
It's about visiting the pumpkin patch.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, after these words.
All right, we'll be right back. Maybe.
You didn't hit all the right buttons. It's hot.
Medicare open enrollment is happening October 15th through December 7th.
Maybe we should
now,
work
this is
naked.
the only time of the year that all people with Medicare can see what new benefits are offered. Let the professionals at Palace Drugstore review your current plan with you. On average, people can save at least $1,100 per year by taking advantage of the new benefits. Your current plan might not be your best plan. And don't forget, you can also get your flu shot this season at Palace Drugstore or in the comfort of your car. Stop in or visit ReamPalaceDrug.com.
I do.
Hi, this is Doug Ray, director of the Humane Society of Fremont County. Tune into the brand new local talk show, Talking Tales. The Humane Society of Fremont County has partnered with the Credit Union of Colorado to bring you the latest from the Humane Society. Each week, we're going to bring you the Pet of the Week, helpful pet tips on behavior, health and wellness of your pets, and your pet's family and special guests. That's Talking Tales every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. at 1400 KRLN.
We do video conferences. And
So you want to tell people all about your business. What's the best way to do that? To get the most bang for your buck? The answer is radio. Don't you
Well,
love
and
surprises?
when I worked at Wells
According to a
Fargo, they
Nielsen
let us
study,
start
every
wearing
dollar spent on
casual.
radio returns $12 in
whole month,
sales.
because the
And
20-year-olds are
radio
coming in
reaches
in their
9 out of
tank
every
tops
10 people
and they're
each
short.
week. Now,
And so
I
we
can't
had
do
to
all
go
the math
back
in
to
my head
wearing
because those are some
khakis
pretty big numbers. But the bottom line
Yeah,
is, if
yeah,
you
it's
advertise
stupid.
on radio, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
You want to, well, maybe
KRLN weather, sunny and mild today with southwest winds at 10. The high today around 75. Partly cloudy tonight, the low near 40. Mostly sunny and windy tomorrow with gusty west winds. Tomorrow's high around 77. 33 was our low this morning after a high of 78 yesterday. 48 degrees currently at the weather station.
I got it right there.
Radio 1400 KRLN.
All right, I am so excited because we have got a little children's story.
We were
I'm
talking about
sorry.
that
Yeah, we
before.
were.
Sorry.
We got a little children's story that Sue has written, and her muse is her 4-year-old grandchild. So I know this is going to be so much fun. I saw you at
She's
it.
also read it.
I also saw you out at the pumpkin patch one time, but then y'all turned around and left. So this must have been another visit.
Oh, this is based on something else, but they went to the Penrose one
Yeah.
Saturday, and they had a good time.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Thus, we have this story. So let Sue read her story now.
So this is called the Pumpkin Patch Visit. Calvin was going to the pumpkin patch. Mommy packed a picnic with all of Calvin's favorite foods. There was cold fried chicken, potato salad, and chocolate chip cookies for dessert. Daddy put the basket in the car, and off they went to visit the pumpkin patch. When they got to the pumpkin patch, they started with the goats. Goats of all sizes were crowding up to the fence for the children to feed. For only a quarter, you could feed a goat. The goats who weren't begging children for food pellets were climbing the Golden Goat Bridge. Calvin stopped feeding a goat to watch the other sure-footed goats run up and across the bridge. He wanted to cross the bridge too, but Mommy told him it was only for the goats. Lucky goats. Then Calvin saw a huge round hay bale with a scary face. He looked at the face. He wasn't quite sure about that scary face. Mommy showed him that it was just a hay bale with a canvas face painted on it. Nothing to be scared about. Calvin asked Daddy to put him up on the hay bale, so high. Calvin sat proudly right over that scary face, and Mommy took his picture. Then Calvin slid down the hay bale into Daddy's arms. Whee! Oh, what to do next? Calvin saw a train of little cars pulled by a tractor. The cars looked like cows and pigs. Calvin ran to the train and chose a car that looked like a fat pink pig. Around and around the train went. Calvin waved at Mommy and Daddy every time around. Then the train stopped. Calvin did not want to get out. A little girl stood by the fat pink pig car waiting. Calvin looked at the little girl. The little girl looked at Calvin. "Please?" said the little girl. Calvin looked at the little girl, smiled, and climbed out of the fat pink pig car. "Thank you," said the little girl as she climbed into the fat pink pig car. "You're welcome," said Calvin. Mommy and Daddy looked proud. It was time for lunch, so Calvin ran to an empty picnic table. Mommy put out all the good food, and Calvin ate it all up. Mommy told him to slow down, but Calvin was so excited, and there was so much more to do. Mommy washed his hands and face, and they were ready to go again. There were so many things to do. Calvin rode a red tricycle around a track in a big building. There was a plastic cow you could milk. Mommy tried, but Calvin was a little afraid of the big plastic cow. There were swings and wheelbarrows to ride or push around a track. Mommy and Calvin got into a wheelbarrow, and Daddy gave them a ride around the track. Calvin had never ridden in a wheelbarrow before. Mommy laughed and said this was her first time, too. Calvin saw children going into a little building. When he went into the little building, he saw the whole floor was covered with dry white beans. All the children were filling buckets and burying themselves in the beans and running their hands through the beans.
How fun.
Oh, I love those kind of things.
I know. Kinesthetic.
Put the beans or the corn.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's fine. We've got time to fill. Calvin was so excited. This was something new. He grabbed a red plastic bucket and a blue plastic shovel, and he filled his bucket, then dumped it, then filled it again. The beans made a swooshing sound as they poured out. This was so much fun. Mommy said it was time to see something else. Calvin did not want to leave the little building full of beans, but Mommy reminded him he still needed to pick his pumpkin.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the best part, right?
That is the best part.
Calvin emptied his red plastic bucket and put it and the blue plastic shovel back in the bin and left the little building. They walked across the yard to a big green tractor pulling a wagon. Daddy told Calvin the tractor would take them to the field where the pumpkins grow. Calvin liked the big green tractor. It sounded strong as it pulled the wagon filled with families out to the field. Oh, what a sight! Pumpkins, pumpkins everywhere. White pumpkins and yellow pumpkins and big, round, orange pumpkins. How could Calvin ever choose? Calvin ran from one pumpkin to another, trying to decide. Daddy chose a very big pumpkin, almost as big as Calvin. Mommy chose a pretty pumpkin, bright orange and shiny. Calvin couldn't choose. They were all so nice. Finally, Daddy said Calvin must choose his pumpkin. So Calvin scrunched his eyes closed really tight, turned around 2 times, stopped, and pointed. When he opened his eyes, Daddy was holding a big, shiny, orange pumpkin. Time to ride the wagon, Daddy said. We'll take our pumpkins to the lady to weigh them. Daddy paid for the pumpkins, and it was time to go home. Mommy carried a very tired but happy Calvin out to the car. Did you like the pumpkin patch? Mommy asked. Calvin didn't answer because Calvin was asleep.
Aww.
The end.
The end. That's precious. What fun. You need to definitely keep doing this. I highly recommend you.
Well, thank you.
Continue to write this.
Taught preschool for many years, so I love doing the things with the little kids.
I was wondering what was wrong with the youth.
It's not all because of her.
It's all my fault. Yeah, it's all those finger plays and things, that little songs that you do, and
That's right. No, but what fun. I had my twins and my other two grandsons living with me they were 2 years old when they came to live with us, and they left. When they left, they were about 4. So I love that age group because they're just fascinated with everything.
They're just sponges.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about being old grandma and living
You
here,
said it. I didn't say anything.
Turn your mic off.
Fine, be that way.
Well, okay, so just for example, okay, I decided to clean the toaster the other day.
Okay.
And when I did clean the toaster, this does have something to do with children.
Don't put your fingers in it.
Don't put your fingers in it.
Yeah, that would be
So
wrong.
I'm shaking. You pull out those things, and it's supposed to have the crumbs. Well, I picked it up, and all these crumbs rained out. And so I shook it, and crumbs and crumbs and crumbs came out.
Everywhere.
And I had a pile of crumbs. And while I was cleaning this up, and Calvin came up, and he has a little stool that he keeps in the kitchen so
Yeah.
he can help us cook or whatever.
We call that the helper stool.
Yes. And so he pulled the stool up, and he started playing in these breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Oh yeah, how fun.
And he would draw a picture, and then he'd push the crumbs back in, and he'd make squiggles, and he'd push the
How
crumbs
fun.
over. And the whole reason for telling you this is that Daddy came in and had a meltdown because
Of
Calvin
course.
was playing in the crumbs. And so Grandma had the opportunity to say, take it down a grand.
Yeah.
This is how they learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
How
was
fun.
so absorbed. Daddy came in. What are you doing? And
Yeah.
the kid went 12 feet in the air.
Well, that's why you let them plug that something in the light socket, because that's a learning experience. They won't do it again.
My oldest son did that. Yeah.
My speaking of things that you like to touch, my daughter had.
That didn't sound good.
No, that didn't sound good at all.
Back up. One of these
Whoa.
people I work with, I swear.
Both of us,
daughter
Tay and I
had-
both are like,
Can I go on,
whoa.
please?
Yes.
My daughter had a kindergarten class, and she had seen, during the summer, she had seen about this. So she took a pretty good-sized table and made kind of a tray out of it, and she filled it with cornmeal and dried coffee grounds. And she said the kids would stand at that thing for hours if she would let them, because it was just this touchy-feely, wonderful experience. They had scoops, and they had cans, and they had just all kinds of stuff. And it's like that, like the crumbs. It's so much fun to move it around and draw in it. And
we forget that they have 4 years of experience in their entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
And we forget those kind of things. So if you ever want to take a shower in peace, Mom, give the kids something to play with that's tactile for, a few minutes. We did cornstarch and water the other day.
Can you do a toaster in the shower?
No.
I'd rather not, unless I didn't like someone, maybe.
Yeah.
No, we wouldn't do that.
We won't go
Let's
that
not even
far.
put
No.
that out
We
there.
won't do that. Yeah. But
All right. Well, we're going to talk about a story that I've written, and I have what I would call a blurb for the series itself, because this is another one of those multi-author series that we've talked about. And this is the blurb for the series, and it says, "Welcome to Last Chance, Nebraska. When the freak blizzard of 1878 kills most of the men in the small Nebraska town, what does it mean for the surviving women and children? Realizing they need to find men of honor to help rebuild, the women place an advertisement in Matrimonial Times. Choosing a husband is more difficult than they thought when there is an overwhelming response to the ad. Will the Blizzard brides find the second chance at love in a town called Last Chance?
Can you imagine choosing your life partner from a letter?
No.
Oh.
And this series is based on some true-to-life blizzards that really took place in Nebraska. And one of them was in 1878, and the other one is called the Schoolhouse Blizzard of 1888, in which the poor school teacher thought about letting the kids out because the snow started, and then she was like, oh, I shouldn't let them out because what if the storm gets bad? But then she realized she didn't really have enough supplies to keep them in the schoolhouse properly, so she did let them go home. And every single one of them perished in the blizzard.
And I had actually read
some of that.
I had researched this for something else several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Lynn told me about this story, I said, I know that.
Story.
I know that story.
And we found some interesting and sad real situations that happened. This one lady had walked off of her porch and got disoriented. If you've ever been in a blizzard, you know how easy it is to get just as disoriented from the wind and the howling and the snow beating you in the face. Her body was found 10 feet from her porch after the snow cleared. And so we have some of that in the story too. But because this story is, shall we just say, so morose, so very, very, very sad.
It's a very sad situation.
Should I get the Kleenex?
You
yes,
might,
please.
But not my excerpt's actually not that part. So what I do to counter that is I put in some really strong humor. Now, granted, the blizzard part isn't humorous, but things leading up to it could be funny, and then things after it can be funny, because honestly, you can find humor just about everywhere once you get past the trauma of the
humor
situation.
is a way humans survive, I think, is when it's just that bad.
Right. So, and granted, you have to function with the devastation, and you have to clean up, and you have to do all the things you have to do, but I just feel like it balances out the story. I personally love a story that made me laugh, made me cry, made me, all these different arrangements or array of emotions. That to me is a good story. And that's what I try to do in my stories, is I try to have all the different emotions. You get angry at the people, and you get happy with the people.
You don't want a whole one
emotion.
note thing.
Emotion.
You want to feel it. You want to feel their frustration. You want to feel their anger. You want to feel their fear.
Make it a roller coaster.
Exactly.
Yeah, an emotional roller coaster.
That is exactly right. And then when you get to the end, and then I go, that was so good.
While you're with your tears and your tissues, and that was such a good story. I want to see it again.
I've had people tell me that they throw their Kindle across the room because they do get angry with the characters, and then they go pick it up, try to find out what happened to them. And
I've done that.
First, like, what happened to my Kindle?
That's a compliment.
Yeah,
true, there is that.
Yeah, I'm still not on the Kindle thing, but I have definitely done that with books.
Oh, yeah.
Either frustrated by a character or frustrated by an ending.
The story.
Or something that, this is not.
Well, unless I'm leaving a cliffhanger because it's going into another book, I never leave an unanswered.
But and a reader knows that. You and I talked about that. You finish this book and you leave this little, but I know you're writing the next book in the series.
Exactly. So,
and I can live with that now. So
there you go. Sue can live with that now.
See, aren't you all happy?
Now life can move on.
Yes, thank you.
And since
it's all about me.
Let's go to commercial.
Let's go to
When
commercial.
we come back, I will read the excerpt from The Blizzard Bride, and mine is called A Groom for Linda.
People make all kinds of mistakes with life insurance, like having some coverage but not enough to keep your family in the house, or only having life insurance through work and then losing your job. Want to avoid those mistakes? Get an Allstate agent. They can help you get the coverage your family needs at an affordable price. Are you in good hands?
Call Canyon City Allstate agent Trent Rundell today and ask for a complimentary life insurance review. 275-5762. Life insurance is offered by Allstate Life Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois, and Lincoln Benefit Life Company, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Attention! The Marine Corps League requests your presence to celebrate the 245th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. All are welcome. Saturday night, November the 7th, at the Abbey Event Center. Formal or military dress is suggested. Tickets are limited this year, so hurry and call 719-431-2687. That's 719-431-2687.
I didn't want to talk. She just sat with me. That was all I really needed.
We got back. One day he called me out of the blue. And it's comforting to know that I always can count on him to have my back.
She called me from time to time. I really didn't think I needed any help.
It took me from being really depressed to feeling like somebody cared to give me some hope. Just that one text.
Be there. Your call, your presence, your words, your support. Be there and help save a life. Learn more about preventing suicide at veteranscrisisline.net.
And it's a big bus.
I'm the host here. I'm the one too. Yikes. Okay, you can cue in now. It's all right.
Okay, we're back.
Now that we're back.
We're back with Right
get
Time
back on the
Radio,
rails here.
and we are winging it today and having a good time. And
Our best shows are when we wing it. I swear.
It is
always.
It
Yeah.
is. When you just wing it, it's just like you never know what's coming around the bend there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if you try and read, like you're reading a script or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Lynn has a really good excerpt from Blizzard Brides series, and we want to have time to read it. So we're going to let her start.
All right, and this is A Bride for Linda. Now, this book is available on pre-order right now on Amazon.com, and it will come out November 10th, so it won't be very long. Ron Appleby sat up in bed. What was that? He listened. The horses in the livery next door were uneasy. Something wasn't right. He touched Linda's side of the bed. The sheets were empty and cold. He sighed heavily, and he leapt out of bed. While staring at the dim moonlight night, he yanked on his breeches, shirt, and vest. He tucked and buttoned everything in place. His sheriff badge, never removed from the vest, reflected a soft illumination. His hawk-like eyes caught movement. A slight, dark figure slipped through the slats of the corral. Appleby was outside in a flash. A long, dark duster, lifted by a breeze, exposed the intruder's indigo blue canvas breeches tucked into stovepipe boots as the figure made its way into the barn, where over a dozen horses were kept by the livery. 2 of them belonged to the Applebys, his and his wife's. His deputy had taken his horse when he left town with a large group of men who were on a Hail Mary hunt for buffalo to help get the town through the winter after a harsh, dry summer. A horse whinnied in the waning moonlight, hoofs stamped straw-strewn dirt as the horses awakened to steel bars scraping against latches. Their stall doors were open and lead ropes were snapped onto halters. Sheriff Appleby hid in the shadows opposite the double doors leading to the street as 6 horses were guided into the cold night air. He stepped out from the barn wall. "Hold it right there!" His baritone voice cut through the chilling breeze. Sheriff Appleby swung his Winchester to engage the cartridge into position, the only warning he would give. The figure stopped abruptly when he spoke, slowly lifting gloved hands that were still holding the 6 ropes. "Don't shoot!" The dark figure didn't dare turn around to face the accuser. "We don't cotton to horse thieves around these parts," Ron drawled, his Texas roots thick in his voice. The figure shrugged. "I didn't reckon you would. It's why I came in the dead of night." The horses shivered and whinnied. It was unusually chilly for September. They were cold and nervous. For beasts of burden, they knew something was wrong, being taken from the stalls in the middle of the night without being tacked for a ride. "Here's what you're gonna do," the sheriff inched toward the thief, keeping his rifle aimed from his hip. "You're going to hand me those lead ropes. Turn around so I can cuff you." "And what if I don't?" "Well," the sheriff let one side of his mouth curl in humor, "then I'll be forced to shoot you." The thief swallowed hard and held out one arm awkwardly to hand the ropes over his shoulder to the sheriff. "That's good. Now put your hands down behind your back." The thief complied. Appleby looped the lead ropes around his arm and pulled out his handcuffs, slapped them on the thief's wrists, and squeezed them a little tighter than he should have. "Ow, Ron, that hurts." "Well, dang it, Linda, you wanted everything to be authentic." "Yeah, but you don't got to cut my hands off at the wrist just to let me experience what it feels like to be arrested as a horse thief." "Woman, this was your idea, not mine." She sighed. "All I'm asking is for you to loosen the cuffs just a little bit." "Fine." Ron used his key to unlock the cuffs and pulled them open just a couple of clicks so that they were not so tight against his wife's wrist. "That better?" "Yes, thank you." "Now what?" "What do you mean?" She sighed louder this time. "What would you do with the thief now?" "Well," he looked at the 6 horses and his wife waiting for him to complete the task of arresting her as a horse thief. "I reckon I'd latch your cuffs to a post so I could put these horses back in their stall. Since my deputy's not here to help, it'd be up to me to take care of them and then put you in jail." "All right, let's do that." "Linda, this is ridiculous. Let's go back to bed." "No! I need to know the whole experience so I can write an authentic story about a lady bounty hunter and her horse thief bandit." "Who ever heard of a lady bounty hunter in the first place?" "Ron, we've been through this. Please, you promised." "Oh, all right. But let the record show I don't like it." "Duly noted." She chuckled and stood still while he took another set of handcuffs and connected the cuffs on her wrist to the brass ring on the post. He guided the horses back to their stalls. They whinnied in protest. The disturbance was not to their liking any more than it was his. He hung the lead ropes back on the hooks and walked back to where she waited. "Now, you're going to jail." He cleared his throat. "Mrs. Appleby, you are under arrest for horse thieving and disturbing your husband's peace in the middle of the night." She giggled under her breath and walked as if he had shoved her in front of him. "That's not a charge." "It is now," Ron grumbled. They walked down the middle of Stagecoach Road to the sheriff's office. He unlocked the door and walked her inside to a barred set of cells along the back wall. He unlocked the door to one cell. The metal squeaked as he swung the door open. She shuffled inside and waited for him to take the cuffs off her wrist. He hung the key ring on the nail just out of the prisoner's reach and began to swing the door closed. "Hey, what about the cuffs?" "Oh, yeah, I almost forgot." He yawned and he pulled the key from his leather vest pocket. He released her wrist and tucked the cuffs in his back pocket. "Now be a good horse thief and go to sleep. I'll be right outside your cell in that room right there." He pointed at the room where he or his deputy slept when they were a prisoner. "Come morning, I'll let you out." "No!" Linda stamped her foot. "Ron Appleby, you would not let a horse thief go the next morning. Now you go to sleep in that little room and I'll sleep on this cot. Is that the only blanket a prisoner gets?" "Yep." "Well, fine. If that's what a prisoner experiences, then that's what I want to experience. Now go to bed and come morning, bring me a prisoner's breakfast with a cup of god-awful coffee." He looked at his wife in the cell. She looked small and slightly uncertain, but this was what she wanted. What could be the harm? He was right here in the jail cell with her. If she panicked and changed her mind, he would let her out. In fact, he hoped she'd change her mind, and the two of them could go back home and sleep in their nice, soft feather bed together. He sighed and gave her a sharp nod. "Fine. Good night." "Good night." She pressed her face between the bars and puckered her lips, waiting.
He always kisses the horse thieves good night.
Of course. Yeah. He sighed hard and leaned over to kiss her. "Sweet dreams." "You too," she said, and with less vigor than before. He pulled his pocket watch from his vest. 2 o'clock. How long would she take before she'd had enough and ask him to let her out? If he were a betting man, he'd give her 4 hours top. He stoked the fire in the potbelly stove and went into the room, pulled off his vest and boots and laid down. He never slept well in this room. For one, he missed sleeping beside his wife, and for two, it just wasn't a comfortable bed. Chapter 2. Linda slept miserably, even with all the awkward clothing she wore, the men's breeches and shirt on top of her own delicate underthings, the full-length coat and the threadbare wool blanket. Still, she could not get the chill out of her bones. The cot left her muscles aching and her neck stiff from the lack of a feather pillow. A rooster crowed, bringing her to consciousness, although she longed for more rest. She opened her eyes and swung her legs over the side of the cot. Slowly standing, she stretched and yawned, pressed her fist into her sore back. No wonder prisoners were so cranky. She looked toward the room where her husband had slept to find it empty. Her eyes darted to his desk in the window beside it that faced the town's Stagecoach Street. Just then, he came through the door with a tray. The smell of fresh brewed coffee filled the jailhouse, mingled with biscuits, fried ham, salt pork, beans, and fried eggs. Linda inhaled, closing her eyes to experience the aroma of the breakfast Ron carried. But wait, that couldn't be right. Ron Appleby, I told you I want the full experience. This cannot be a typical prisoner's breakfast. Actually, he chuckled, it is. Either me or Deputy Chris walks over to the Dawson Diner every morning and gets a tray full of food from Tuck. Besides, it's not just breakfast, it's what a prisoner gets for the day. He or she can eat it all at once or over the course of the entire day. Linda glared at her husband, determined if he was telling her the truth or just humoring her by indulging her with a meal big enough to feed an entire family of 4 for breakfast. Her sister Holly started the diner in an empty store just across the street from the depot, out of boredom since the good Lord hadn't blessed her and Scott Dawson with any little ones. It made sense to get a tray full of food from the cook. It certainly saved Linda from having to cook for whoever was being held in jail. Darren Tucker had cooked during the Civil War for his Negro regiment and then for the chuck wagon at her other sister's ranch. He had retired from Becca and Calvin Collingsworth, but found he was bored and asked Holly to let him cook for her diner. The man knew how to pile on a gut-filling offering of food. Did he know this tray was for her? Let's break for commercial. Shall we?
Yes, I think that would be good.
That would be good. We'll let this ambulance
We're going to talk like this.
I reckon that'd be a good idea.
And there goes the ambulance.
We'll be right back.
Aftermath is here! Canyon City is home to one of the top-rated haunts in all of Colorado, Aftermath.
So scary it'll bring you to your knees.
Aftermath is open on the 24th, 30th, and 31st. The ticket booth is open from 7 to 10:30 by the dog park in Canyon City.
Tickets are $20. Bring all your friends.
Proceeds benefit Canyon City Recreation and Park District programs. For more information, go to ccrec.org.
Hi, this is Jay Farner, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. We can help guide you to those right decisions now when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so when you call 8338-ROCKET or visit us at rocketmortgage.com to start your refinance, you'll be well on your way to saving money every month. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.125%, APR 3.43%. Right now could be a great time for you to take some positive financial steps forward with a cash-out refinance from Rocket Mortgage, which could give you the boost that you're looking for. In addition, we may be able to help you refinance with little or no out-of-pocket costs. At Rocket Mortgage, we're committed to every client, every time, no exceptions, no excuses, giving you the best mortgage experience. Call us today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more.
Rates subject to change. A 2.875% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Ed Norton here in the KRLN Weather Center. Your forecast calling for sunny and mild today with southwest winds at 10. High today around 75. Partly cloudy skies tonight with a low near 40. Sunny and windy tomorrow. We're going to see strong west winds with a high around 77. 78 was our high yesterday. 52 degrees currently at the Weather Center.
Radio 1400 KRLN.
Listening to an excerpt from my co-host Lynn Donovan's, which this is something Linda. What's sorry, I only have
Linda.
A Groom for Linda, and it's from the
Blizzard
Blizzard Brides
series. Yes. So here we go.
So we're gonna go back.
It made sense to get a tray full of food from the cook. It certainly saved Linda from having to cook for whoever was being held in the jail. Darren Tucker had cooked for the Civil War for his Negro regiment and then for the chuck wagon at her sister's ranch. He had retired from Becca and Calvin Collingsworth, but found he was bored and asked Holly to let him cook for the diner. The man knew how to pile on a gut-filling offering of food. Did he know this tray was for her? She watched Ron set the tray on his desk. He moved the coffee pot to the stove and bent to stoke the fire. The aroma of the fried ham caused her mouth to water.
Yeah, mine too.
She swallowed. Ron, nearly 30 years old. That's not right. Hang on.
We're flipping our pages.
On, yeah. Hold on.
We told you we're winging it.
We're confused.
Totally winging it. Okay, here we go. She swallowed. Ron filled two coffee cups, handed one to her, and took a sip from his own. We make coffee throughout the day, and it's not so god-awful as you said last night, but we don't have a proper stove to do much more than warm food. He cleared his throat and spoke more harshly. So, what do you want, prisoner? You can divide this up into 3 meals or eat it all right now. She looked longingly at the pile of food. Her stomach replied for her. I suppose I should divide it into 3 meals, beginning with a biscuit. And those eggs. I'll take a cutting of that ham, please. Ron jerked a nod and dished the selection onto a tin plate with a 2-tined fork, which he left with the food as he slid it through a rectangular opening in the cell door. He hesitated as if he wanted to say something, but then he said, "Bon appetit." She smirked a grateful smile and took the plate, sat down on the cot and bowed her head a moment, and ate with as much grace afforded the lack of a table and additional utensils with which to cut her meat. Tuck was a mighty good cook. Linda's sister was lucky when the man asked if he could keep himself busy by cooking for her diner. Besides, all Holly wanted to do was bake. She had little interest in keeping house for her husband or cooking meals for the town. Waiting tables was in line with her outgoing personality, and the diner kept her mind off the fact that she had no children. The latter was probably why she hired Jenny and Marcus to work after school. So near to graduating, they enjoyed the money and experience of having jobs without having to leave town. Marcus and most of the other boys generally sought work on the ranches, but with his mother having not yet cut the apron strings, he appreciated the opportunity to work closer to home. Holly preferred baking to cleaning any day. Her talent definitely lay in breads, pies, and cakes. When Tuck came to her with his request, she didn't even hesitate hiring the black man. He took the small apartment upstairs, paying a reasonable rent out of his salary, and was never late to work. It worked out well for Holly and Tuck. Becca hated to see Tuck leave her ranch, but understood the man's need to sleep indoors now that he was getting a little long in the tooth. Having a black man as the only cook at a diner wasn't a problem. It might be for further south. Folks around Last Chance weren't like most folks who would be bothered by such a thing. Besides, Becca and Calvin's ranch hands had talked enough about Tuck's abilities. the town people were anxious to give Dawson's Diner a try when she first opened. And people kept coming back, even when it wasn't a special occasion. What do you think? See, this is a romance.
We're out of time.
This is a romance, but you're liking it, huh?
Yeah.
Lynn says, pointing a finger at Sue.
Yeah. Sue would actually like some romance. That would not be a problem. Yeah.
But you don't like romance stories. But I keep telling you that my stories have more to do with the story and not the romance. So that's why.
And that's fine.
That's why I'm badgering you.
And the whole thing, and I like the historical. And I don't dislike romance. What I have discovered is reading romance makes me sad.
Yeah. I understand that too.
So that's the thing. So if there's any eligible gentlemen,
I'm sorry, this is not a dating show.
Hit that button, Tay. Hit that button.
You got the match game theme here on your music.
You know what I do have? Just keep talking. I'll find it.
He's good because but that's seriously, that's why I do not object to the genre. And like I said, I've read Amish Brides. I read some of that stuff, but it's just never happened to me.
I hear you.
Never had the guy that came home with the red rose.
Part of the fun of writing romance too is that
you see if you recognize this one.
Okay.
Ready? Oh, that's not the right one.
That's not it.
Back. Oh, here, wait, maybe it's this one.
It's over here.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Which one was that from? Dating game. Yeah.
See, it is too the day. We've got the theme song and everything.
Tay has everything on that board.
We can
have a few.
But anyway, my point was that a lot of us romance writers.
Do you remember your point?
I do. If you'll let me say it.
Yes.
I love you, Sue. I really
know.
do. No, my point is that you can't just have romance. You've got to have a mix. It's just like you can't have it all humorous. You can't have it all sad. You can't have it all angry. You can't have it all happy. To be really interesting, you've got to mix all that up.
The emotional roller coaster, like Tay said.
And to me, the romance has to be realistic to the situation. And so, that's the way we write it, is we write a relationship develops between a man and a woman. They have obstacles that try to keep them apart. That makes it more romantic, actually.
Well, and I know you did a lot of research for this. That Nebraska Blizzard
we all did.
Was, and it's a group. So, but for your particular book, you do this research, and that Nebraska Blizzard was a horrible thing. It's a true thing, and if you can make a story out of it that has some happy in it and works that way.
Because realistically, there would have been some things that happened that were good things, in spite of losing people. And there would have been people who went above and beyond the call of duty to do something nice for someone to help them and stuff like that. And then we incorporate all that in there.
Do you happen to know if that was the year that was the same year that Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote her Hard Winter? I think that was the same year, actually.
If it's not, it's super close.
Yeah.
Because our story is set in 1878, and that first blizzard was 73. And
she was born in 63, I think.
And the second
so
blizzard
that would have been about right.
88.
Yeah.
So, right in this area. And probably pretty close to where they supposedly lived. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, because where you have Last Chance...
Right.
She would have been just a little bit north and east, I think, into Smith.
So. Last Chance, we literally looked at a map and decided where it needed to be, because the story of Last Chance that we made up was that this was on the Oregon Trail or the California Trail or whatever, Santa Fe Trail. There's a whole lot of trails that went through there that were the wagon trains. And we said that this was the place that the wagon master started yelling, "Last chance to settle, last chance." So if you didn't want to go through the very rough Rocky Mountains, this was where you had to pull out of the wagon train and settle yourself. So this town, this settlement, became Last Chance, Nebraska.
And now that this particular Flatlander lives among these mountains, I can absolutely understand I don't know how they get cars through this stuff, let alone horses and wagons.
Every time we go driving through the mountains, I look around and I think, how in the world did they get through this in a wagon and horses and oxens and walking and my goodness.
There's that
petticoats and
that one spot going to Cripple Creek where you go up and all you see is the nose of your car and then is there really road on the other side here?
And that's why they had passes and they had guides and because they kind of found the best way through, but still it was really, really hard. And a lot of people lost their lives because the wagons just fell and they lost everything. So so Last Chance Nebraska was your last chance to settle down and stay there, and a lot of people did, according to our little brains that we came up with the story.
I like it a lot.
We have a lot of fun. The multi-author series are a lot of fun. We had Christine on the show last week, and she was talking about, after 5 years, if you're still doing multi-author series only, then you need to rethink yourself, because you're basically riding somebody else's tailcoats. But they're just so much fun that I am still writing them, but I also do my individual stories too. So
and I'm hoping my friend will, get me into something at some point where I can learn how to do this. Yep. And remember that we want you, as our listeners, please bring us things, tell us things, ask us questions.
And the way you do that is you email us at writetimeradio@gmail.com. That's WRITE, timeradio@gmail.com. Send us an email. Tell us, hey, I've written something. It's not published. It's probably no good. This is what everybody says.
This is what everybody says, yeah.
But maybe you'd be interested. Here it is. Let me attach it. And we'll read it and we'll tell you, yes, that's appropriate for our show. Please come on the show. Or we might come back and say, man, that's not appropriate for our show, but do you have anything else? So that notebook, like Sue says, you hide it in your drawers and, well, not your drawers, but your dresser drawers.
In your petticoat.
Why do I always say these things? And, you've put the spiral in the closet and
But share it, because authors want, I know, Lynn knows that what we're writing, we really want it to be heard. Now, real quick, I wrote a story that I thought might be appropriate for today, and I showed it to Lynn. We decided that it wasn't something we wanted to read on the air, but it turned out to be very cathartic, is that the right word, for me to write it.
Yeah.
And so, those things we'll tell you, this is great writing. We love it. Do you have anything else?
Yeah. Well, there's things that are appropriate for a 9 o'clock in the morning show, and there's things that aren't.
This was very sad. We decided it was too many.
With this group here,
well,
it was a very multiple Kleenex story.
It was sad beyond what I wanted to do.
What she wanted to do at 9 o'clock in the morning.
I think I need a hug.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly right. So, but luckily, Sue has a plethora of other things she can turn to, like her little children's story about Calvin at the pumpkin patch. We're going to have a poems day too. We don't know exactly when, but be digging out your poems.
Get your poetry out.
Kathy Heron, I hope you're hearing us.
Yeah, Kathy,
we really want you to come bring some of your poem. I love her cowboy poetry.
Kathy has written a new play too that is going. FCT is going to produce it for New Year's Eve, I understand.
Awesome.
So I hope I got that right. So,
well, we'll find out. We'll get back with you people who are listening to us as to what's going on.
Because if it's a Kathy Heron production, you don't want to miss it.
It's going to be awesome. Yep, exactly. How are we doing?
He's looking at the time.
I'm just watching the clock.
Just tick-tock.
We're getting pretty close to the end.
Pretty close, yeah.
I think I just want to thank everybody for always tuning in to us on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. I know Sue and I have a whole lot of fun. I hope you guys have fun listening to us. And
let us know.
We're serious.
Let us know, please.
We're serious about you authors or writers. Send us what you've written, okay?
That's it.
Have a great day.
I'm going to Nebraska. I'm going to Iowa, yeah.
She is going to Iowa.
We are Royal Gorge Broadcasting, AM 1400, KRLN, Canyon City, Florence, and Penrose.